Welcome. Dr. Wendy Axelrod is an executive coach, former HR executive, author, speaker, and renowned mentorship guru because of her leadership championing a mentoring program for HR professionals in Philadelphia since 2002. She holds a doctorate in organizational psychology, has written 2 books, with her latest being 10 Steps to Successful Mentoring, and has taken time out of her busy schedule today to discuss what separates successful mentoring programs from those that flop. Thank you for taking the time, Dr. Axelrod.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, let's jump into it. But to help set the stage and learn a little bit more about yourself and your background, Wendy, can you share with us how you have developed your career and what led you to becoming interested in studying mentorship?
Sure. Speaking about mentorship is one of my favorite things that I like to do. So this is great. I landed in college wanting to explore psychology. And by my junior year, I realized I didn't like the idea of just sitting and hearing people's problems and what they wanted to solve for their life. What I wanted to do was work at people when they are at their positive best. And so I said, I really want to be in the playing field of psychology at work. And that turned into be organizational psychology and organization development. And so my career started with that education. And I did a lot of work in the area of developing organizations, developing leaders, talent development. So all things development. And I really didn't land on a deep focus in mentorship until I became president of an area professional association. And I looked at the fact that we were very homogeneous, the members, and we were losing some of the most senior and not attracting enough of the juniors. And so I created a program for each end and to bring in the juniors and to ensure a great talent pipeline of professionals in human resources and organization development and other areas, instituted this mentoring program that's now in its 21st year.
Wow, that's amazing longevity. Well, the topic for today's discussion is what separates successful mentoring programs from those that flop. The fact that this program has lasted for 20 years, there must be some insight into what made it successful. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how the program got started, what challenges you ran into, and how it's lasted for 20 years now.
Oh boy, that's a lot. And there's many other mentoring programs that I've worked on, of course, but this one is a bit of a hallmark. We had a lot of challenges in the beginning. People didn't really understand what goes into mentoring and thought it was mostly about connecting people, connecting a senior person with a junior person, get them going, give them some initial kickoff training, and let them go at it, and then talk to them maybe midway through or at the end. And what we found out in terms of challenges is that it was tough for a number of these pairs to really stay connected and to get meaningful outcomes out of it, both for the mentee and the mentor. The mentors weren't satisfied. I had a mentor said, this is the last time, Wendy, this is the last time I'm going to do this. It didn't work out. My mentee wasn't good enough, and on and on and on. I'm like, oh boy, we need to do things differently. And I don't know, do you want to hear what we did that we ended up doing things differently?
Absolutely. Yeah, please go into it.
We recognized that there was a need to screen both mentors and mentees, that it can't just be a very informal get to know each other, anything goes in our conversations, that people needed to understand what was required in the program so that they would get the most out of it. We wanted to see our mentors come back to us again and again. And that one woman who was a senior exec said never again for her. So we wanted to ensure it would be a good experience for everyone else going forward. And we also created a goal that we wanted 100% of the pairs that started to be the pairs that ended. And in a community-based volunteer mentoring program, that is a very high bar. So we did that, we put in a fair amount of structure. We said it needs to be goals driven. And then we realized we needed to give a lot of support ongoing, not just have the pairs go off on their own, but make meaningful things happen for them that support them beyond their one-on-one conversations.
That makes ton of sense. You wrote an article, Make Your Mentoring Program Memorable, where I think you mentioned some of these. You had 5 points that you put really well. First was guard the gate, which I think you just mentioned, sort of screening the mentors and mentees.
Right.
Second was give it a backbone. Anything to add to that point?
The backbone part is really about the structure, about people knowing they are coming into a program. It's going to be 9 months. We're going to meet regularly. There are some requirements for you to stay in the program. So that actually goes into some of the screening. We tell them, this is what is in the program. Do you agree to this? And that's we don't want them to feel surprised or, things are not really laid out for them. No, we want it laid out. We want them to understand, they're going to be checking on their goals, and there are rules and boundaries, that sort of thing, where in the beginning, mentors thought it was great to go talk to the person's supervisor. Well, not really a good idea, because you're building this trusting relationship. And as soon as you speak with the person's manager or supervisor, you've blown that out of the water. So that's all part of the backbone, is having that structure and creating the expectations around that.
That all makes a ton of sense to me. Point 3 here is around raising intrigue and eyebrows is one. A question I get all the time from people I talk to who are trying to launch programs within companies. They're always concerned that they won't have enough mentors. I'm curious what you think are some of the best ways to promote a mentoring program.
Mentors and good qualified mentees. I think, and in that article, it highlights, I actually had to go back and reread the article. It's a number of years old. I think that the good stories that people tell as a result, what they are getting from it. For mentors, I think it's really important to highlight for mentors what they get from it. There is a lot of growth that goes on for mentors. They sharpen their coaching skills. They get to practice outside of their work environment where it's more relaxed, and they can begin to see what works in developing another and what doesn't. And then just ensuring that everything is in place so that at the end of this, good stories, great reputation, the uniqueness people talk about in that 21-year-old mentoring program. We have some mentors who've been there all along, by the way. They talk about how distinctive this is because it is a quality program that is well managed, where they feel well supported, where there's a lot of innovation, where they're learning new things all the time. And by the way, I think you know, and maybe your listeners know, that folks that really work at becoming a mentor and learning all the pieces, their career advances as well. Both studies done internally have shown that. And also when we have surveyed our mentors, have you learned some new things that you apply in your day job? 90% say yes.
Well, the fact that you have so many positive references to market your program must tie into the fact, which point 4 you have here around cultivating your mentors, which is also something we were chatting about before we started this podcast. That I think you think is one of the key parts, the most important part of a mentoring program. Can you speak a little bit more about what that means to cultivate your mentors?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do think that's where I think the energy needs to go. I think all the pieces of the program, setting up the platform, matching, giving the training, all of that is a given to be excellent for a high caliber mentoring program. But supporting your mentors It's really about creating the right expectation before they come in, having them think through what it is they hope to get from the mentoring experience, setting goals for themselves in their own development, trying new things, make it a stretch, fun, engaging experience. One of the favorite things that I love participating in with company clients is the mentor monthly meeting. And that is a cohort of mentors coming together in a safe space to talk about what's going on for them in their mentoring. They're not coming in asking a question about here's what my mentee is going through. How would you solve that? We want to know, here's what I'm going through. What coaching do you have for me? I'm feeling stymied. It's feeling stale. I feel like I'm not getting my points across. My mentee won't listen to me. And of course, if somebody raises my mentee won't listen to me, that garners a lot of coaching right there, because mentees shouldn't be, quote unquote, listening to your stories and taking your lead. So that opens up a whole area that mentor can learn from. So that mentor monthly meeting is really great, the ongoing resources for them. And what I call the safety net, which is a check-in for every person that is in the program. How is it going? Are your goals set? Are you making progress? And not as a pair, as individuals, in case there are some issues, how can we now help you to get past those and to resolve those? So that safety net really is a great support. I would say we evaluate at the end of each year of the program, and I'm no longer running the program. I am the mentor coach in the program. But at the end, we always evaluate. And often what the mentors say was the favorite part was, I mean, they love working with their mentees, but maybe the favorite part is that cohort where they meet monthly and they're really talking meaningfully about how they are increasing their capabilities as mentors.
That's all tremendous advice. That being said, I can imagine this can seem a bit daunting to a new administrator. I'm curious, what do you think are the first steps that a HR professional needs to keep in mind to get started?
First of all, there's lots of guidance out there. So as daunting as this is, there's a lot of guidance on what is successful. We're getting better and better at it. And I think we're establishing best practices that are accessible to everyone. I think you can't go it alone. I think you can start it with a conversation with one other person, but don't go it alone, and know what the purpose is, and then build the program to that purpose. So I like to think about the purpose of a particular mentoring program to be linked to some sort of strategy, whether it is a talent development strategy, a diversity and inclusion strategy, a succession management model, whatever it is. And when you determine where that need is and how you want to support it, make sure you have great support from the organization and people willing to talk it up, to participate, to be a speaker, a senior executive, to be a speaker in it. Really, it takes a village. Don't do it alone, and put the right village together. And then know what your core pieces are. You need all the elements of how you invite people in, how you select and match, how they get trained, how they get supported throughout. All of those things are there, but make sure it is in a position to be well valued by the organization. And not the biggest problem is people think it's free and it's informal, and those don't last long. When people think about, let's do a mentoring program, it'll be free, won't cost, it's not a big budget item. It can be informal. We really don't have to do much. We just bring those mentors in and they'll take care of things. That's a misstep.
Absolutely. I certainly think one of the most important parts, and you mentioned this in our dialogue before as we were setting this call up around, I can't remember exactly the term you used, but we would call it like a program sponsor, someone who's senior in the organization, who giving the backing to this, both in terms of supporting it from a marketing standpoint and letting people know that's a valued initiative, but also providing it the resources it needs to succeed, be that the time of an administrator or additional resources like a mentor coach or software to help support them.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. And this whole idea of it takes a village is bring in leaders from various functions. You have that top sponsor, but let's have other leaders act as mentors, as resource providers, get people in on the action, let it be visible, report out at the end of it what was gained. You know, I'll often ask a program manager, did you reach success? Did you reach the goals of what you hoped the program would do? And they'll say to me, well, we graduated 25 people. I'm like, what was your goal? Did you have a goal around promotion, around increasing capabilities, around, you know, a whole variety of things? Measure that, not just that people got through it. That could just be a check the box. We want it to have meaningful results.
You mentioned a couple of goals we hear with our customers is goals like the number of people getting promoted, a good goal, or do you have, what do you think are some examples of good goals that organizations should think about?
Absolutely. And again, it goes back to what is the strategic initiative you are bridging this to. If you are looking to move people along in capability, so it's a general program, we want to move you through leadership, have benchmarks for what you're looking for. I think the ones about being promoted could be right, or they could be irrelevant, depending on what the goal is. So if the goal, and again, if the goal is around succession, I work with one company where the senior most leaders mentored the next level down to get them ready to take on different kinds of roles as the company was expanding. And they went back and they tracked, are we in a better position now, having gone through year 1, year 2, year 3 of this cycle? And they were. So the goals will depend on, the measures will depend on what you would like your goals to be. But please don't say 25 people graduated. That's very nice, but it's not concrete enough. It's not specific enough to show the financial return, the benefit to the business and the benefit to the individuals.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on time here, but I think we have time for one more question. We've talked a lot about what makes a program successful. Curious if there's anything you want to highlight on the flip side, any common mistakes or things that people should avoid doing.
I'm just going to underscore a couple things that I talked about before, assuming that it can be informal, assuming that the mentor knows what to do once they're paired up. I think those are mistakes. I think spinning it out on its own in the universe with, you know, not great check-ins, I think that could be a misstep. And not checking in to see if things are languishing, if things have gotten out of hand, if mentors perhaps have broken boundaries. Just so those regular check-ins to hear how it's going, what is going on. I think, you know, being mindful of those kinds of pieces will keep you on track.
Perfect. Well, Wendy, this has been a great conversation. Thank you for taking the time to share your wealth of experience with us. The conversation will undoubtedly be helpful for our audience. Where can people go to learn more about you, your work, and potentially connect?
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you. So they can learn more about me at wendyAxelrodPhD.com. And there it will talk about my mentoring practice and also my coaching practice. and actually some personal things about me as well. So that's the best place. And if they want to get me directly with an email, it could be wendy@wendyaxelrodphd.com.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it myself. Thank you.
Right.
Take care. Bye now.